Why is shame such a powerful emotion? How does it affect us mentally, physically, emotionally? I'm Nadia Davis. I'm a mom, author, attorney, and Kundalini yoga teacher who has experienced public shaming that brought me to my knees. On this podcast, I'm going to tell you how I'm living the work taking shame out of the shadows. I'll give you real life advice and skills to take away with you throughout your day. You'll hear from powerful guests who have overcome trauma and emerged stronger than ever. You too can ban the shame within and around you. Join me. You are not alone. Hi, my beloved. First of all, welcome, Priya Jain.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. There's so much. Listeners, please check out Seven Chakra Institute of Spiritual Sciences. You can join morning sadhana for free through the Glow membership and receive a whole bunch of other blessings, teachings, a whole community of support for your journey. And join me live Mondays and Friday mornings at 5 a.m. So Priya is the founder of Seventh Chakra. And in one of the retreats that I attended, she handed out a poem that has a very special place in my heart. And so I'm going to start with this. Where did you first run in to Awake Awhile, which is actually the title of the last episode, where I reflected upon these learnings and gave some tips and things that I use to come home to my heart every day and to try to return to the innocence that is always there within us, that anyone can tap into, that I just am really trying my best to serve, to be in that place all the time. And this poem helps. Stillness and presence helps. Breath helps. Some other things help. And the beauty of Priya sharing this poem that she, I think, used along your journey with so many others, and now it growing and growing and growing, that love, that sharing. Yeah, I want to start from there. So listeners, maybe what on earth am I talking about? Okay,
Maybe you should read the poem.
yes, this is a poem. I did read it in the last episode,
Okay.
but I will read it again. It's by Hafiz, and it is called Awake Awhile. And let me begin. It doesn't have to be forever. Just one step upon the sky's soft skirt would be enough. Just one true moment of love will last forever. Rest all your elaborate plans and tactics. Awake, my dear. Be kind to your sleeping heart. Take it out into the vast fields of light and let it breathe. Say, love, give me back my wings. Lift me closer. Say to the sun and moon, say to your beloved, I will take you up now, my beloved, on that wonderful dance you promised me. Yes.
Well,
What is...
I can't remember when I stumbled upon this poem, but just like it spoke to you and so many more during the retreat, it is spoken by someone who feels the pain of not being connected to their own heart sometimes. It's a very painful, isolated space when we can't feel our heart. And our mind gives us so many reasons to that it's okay. It validates us not being connected to our heart because the
Mm-hmm.
mind needs to lead our everyday, day to day doings, responsibilities,
Mm-hmm.
maneuvering life, the ups and the downs. We need our mind so desperately. So the mind usually overrides the heart, which is a much more subtler space. And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have any of the tangible rewards that the mind offers us, right? There's no validation, there's no success. The idea of success isn't there.
In the heart.
There's nothing to be gained as per the mind and the ego. There's nothing to be gained in the heart. There's nothing that I can describe as my growth if I just hang out in the heart. Because heart is a space of each moment and accepting what is. It's a space of acceptance. But what that space offers us is so rich, but
Mm-hmm.
that richness doesn't translate to our tangible existence
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, like I said, it may translate as meaning, but not doesn't translate as success. It may translate as depth, connection, but it doesn't translate as immediate gratification. It is a long term, gentler, subtler process that offers us a home, but doesn't translate into a tangible home and all the items of comfort that we have padded our houses with.
All the entanglements that we
Correct.
think will fill us.
Correct. And so when I
And
heard this
isn't that the
poem,
story of recovery? It's just the pattern over and over again, reaching outside. And
mm,
it's the daily challenge.
it's a daily challenge.
It's the experience,
It is
right?
very hard to keep your heart open. Everything in physical existence
Mm.
is almost like it's designed to close the heart and activate the mind and the ego.
So that
So it
line,
is,
be kind to your sleeping heart. All the things that make it sleep. And we never
another
really
way to
know
look
when
at
it
that.
went to sleep from early innocence as a child, right? Like
Mhm.
you asked me, like to tune in to the innocent Nadia, like, and so many people eventually, hopefully, once they reach sobriety, get to this point. Who are you? Who 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 is so and so? Who is Nadia? What did she like? And at that point, when we can tune into that, maybe we'll get to see all the patterns and, right, the habits, the beliefs that caused our heart to sleep. That is the journey.
It is. It's a disconnect. Like I said, sometimes I feel it's inbuilt into the
Mm.
design of existence. Like we are
There's not
born
a
with.
right and wrong.
There's not a right and wrong.
Okay.
It's meant to happen. It's like
Okay.
children grow up and have to leave home to find themselves in the outer
Mm-hmm.
world. But the
Hmm.
way they reconnect back with their parents once they're adults, once they've seen the world,
That's a nice analogy
mhm,
of
is
one's
that's
individual
mhm.
experience. There's no good and bad, right and wrong. And isn't that anti-shaming?
No, no, it's not. Like I said,
Right.
everything, if you look around how existence is set up, it is designed literally to
Mm,
not keep us in a heart. And so the whole
mm,
journey for every human soul is to be able to, in this process of figuring life out, figuring survival, figuring relationships, figuring out so much, In a way, we have to step out of our heart. We have to close our heart and use the mind for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that disconnection, that long term disconnection from the heart,
Mm.
that makes us so isolated. We can have the best relationships in our world.
So
We can have
talk
all the
talk about
success.
that. Talk about
Mhm.
so you mean consciously, I mean, we have to make the effort to do the work, and that sounds so silly, to 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 seek what closes the heart, and then to fill it. That's that's the grand experience of life. And you're saying also on a daily basis, once we have come home, that you can consciously then close it, yet the long-term closing is what to be concerned about. So talk about that conscious closing. Maybe I'm jumping the gun because we're talking about coming home originally. Um, let's talk about that first. So what causes the heart to sleep? You're saying these patterns, these, as you worded it in the training, these entanglements, and briefly, just very briefly describe that. And it's a whole um, journey and training to open the heart, but to put this conversation in context, expand a little bit on the closing of the heart and just the development of the child. And then I'd like to help the listeners, help me with the empowerment of when we can consciously close it using the mind, yet have a full heart to return to. That's a whole process. There you go. Is your spiritual journey,
It
folks. I'm
is,
just
but
kidding.
I don't think it's a conscious closing. I wouldn't word it that
Hmm.
way.
Okay.
Um, the heart isn't the heart isn't space that uses the mind to open and close it. The heart is a thinking, feeling, alive, throbbing entity of its own, extremely sensitive. It'll naturally close if what's needed in the moment, it's not even close. Maybe it just
Mm.
coexists with the mind. If the mind is taking the lead, it is coexisting with it. It doesn't
Okay.
fully
Okay.
close. It closes when it experiences inauthenticity.
Hmm.
Whether that inauthenticity is around us, like I
Hmm.
said, it's extremely intelligent. It picks up tones, words, frequencies. And so if that there's
Or from
inauthenticity
within.
around us, if there's
Uh-huh.
inauthenticity in our own thoughts, feelings,
Okay.
emotions, internal dramas, it'll even close
Mm.
to our own internal dramas that don't feel authentic to it.
Okay.
Like our ego loves throwing tantrums, love doing all these entangled dramas, right? So the heart just says, "All right, you do your thing. I'm here whenever you're ready."
Okay.
But I am not participating in that.
Okay. Okay. And then the the joyless successes, the joyless, things that are obtained, because it's not with our heart, it's not through our heart, it's not from our heart. All along, the heart is there. I see. Okay.
Mhm. And so, like I said, it's a natural process. We all first seek outside for those things. And to some degree, it's valid. We have to make a living to survive. It's a very valid thing,
Hmm.
right? You are driving on the freeway, right? You can be in your heart, but you need the mind to lead you while you're driving on the freeway,
Hmm.
right? So there's all these practical aspects of existence where
Hmm.
the heart is simply sitting back. It's not closed, but it's sitting back. It's allowing the mind to lead, but it's always there to jump back to. Like your exhale, right? Like I'm speaking right now, I'm speaking on an exhale, But once that exhale, that expression in the outer world is done, I will have to go back and take an inhale, which is an internal process.
Hmm.
Speaking, expressing is an exhale, it's an external process. Do you understand? So, heart is
Yes.
kind of like that. Heart and mind are kind of like that. We need the mind to engage the world. We need the mind to survive. We need the mind to create. We need the mind for all of these things. But then we can
So when
always
there
go
is
back into the heart.
inauthenticity, it 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 closes. It closes, and the expression isn't authentic.
Correct. So, like I said,
We don't need
if
to.
there's any authenticity, even in what we are doing, what we are
Okay.
expressing, what we are engaging with, what we are getting entangled with, what we are struggling with, if it is authentic to the soul, the heart will remain open and the heart will experience that fully, even if it's tragic. The
Hmm.
heart wants to experience that tragedy fully. It is not in denial of the bad, it's not in denial of the unpleasant. It
There's
is
no
it is a
preferences.
devout student of what is real, what is here and present.
What is in the vast fields
It is the
of
vast
light and
fields.
let it
Mhm,
breathe.
mhm. So the invitation in the poem
Hmm.
is like mind and ego, come with me. Come, let's go and visit that space again.
Okay.
We know what it feels like. And then we went out searching in the outer world. How about we go and revisit that again?
It's so beautiful how you're describing this because the experience of that in what is happening right here, right now, in any given moment, with an open heart, with the presence, the stillness, um, makes any and all things right in front of you, at least for me, just magnificent. It's
Yes.
it's it may be painful, it, but it's beautiful at the same time. And that space sometimes I refer to that was that can be reached, that is there, of this experience that I call time isn't linear. That's the logical way of describing it, but where everything is just makes sense, and there's no, uh, it just is. And
Yes.
I've experienced those so much, um, as I have had my mom here, and it there's no way that I would be experiencing such the beauty and the pain at the same time if I didn't have this practice,
Because
because
it
the
opens your
ego.
heart. Hmm.
Yes, but I've noticed, so much, and in the awareness of when it closes, when it gets into, this defensive or this, resentment and these things, and then I say, "What is this teaching me? What are these things?" And I see the wounded little girl in her, and then my grandmother's presence, and just all this tying in to this beautiful life. And that was not, I was not capable of that in the beginning of my recovery or the beginning of my spiritual journey, or just a dozen years ago. Everything was a very closed heart because the thoughts were not noticed, that made me inauthentic, right? That were all the seeking of approval and then inauthenticity, and just these layers and layers and layers, because there was no stillness, there was no awareness. And, there's no good and bad. I want people to know there's no good and bad, but just beginning the journey of returning to the heart, opening the heart more and more and more. Um, what we're explaining will make a lot more sense. Um, I love how you're saying though, it's the daily process, right? That it is the daily journey, right?
Yes.
And so, as the guru, and as a teacher, like I just explained my experience, right? My daily journeys. Talk about yours. Um, from just the human experience to the elevated awareness. Like I want to hear
Mm.
your daily process.
10 years ago, it was different because my son was still little. When you have
Mm,
young children, you are not only in your own survival mode, you're also living out theirs, right? So
mhm,
it was a lot more complex. But the conscious practice, even back then, between waking him up, getting him ready, packing lunch, dropping him off, and I was a single mom back then, it was getting to the studio, getting all that organized, dealing with teachers, dealing with students, like dealing with the business aspect, the day to day aspect of running a business. All of that required me to be very, very present in the moment, or else one thing would bleed into another.
mm,
And that is
mm.
something I was consciously aware of.
Wow.
And my promise to myself was
Mm.
I am not going to let them bleed into each other to the best of my capacity. Like I said, we all have different capacities. And
That's very
journey
powerful.
was my journey with myself, my
Yes.
assignment to myself as my own student. I am my own teacher. I am my own student was okay, how do I do this? What do I need to move out of my life so I can make some breathing room for myself to be aware of all these
Mm,
processes, most of which are not under my control. As they
mm,
happen, I must be present to them, right? So, just that process of giving myself permission, what is it that I need to move out of my life? Any kind of entanglements, any kind of even friendships that were not serving me, were burdensome, were taking away from me, I started to
mm.
release them. I took them out of my life. From a layman's perspective, it might look like, what are you doing? You are isolating yourself. You are becoming this one person island.
Mm,
But that was not the intention. It was really about creating space for that which I need to serve and that
mhm.
which can serve me in
And
tiny, tiny
the
little ways.
energy, right? Right? Here,
Mhm.
okay. And you
And
were
so,
you
see, that was my
you
everyday
were
process.
partially conscious of those decisions, and then
And
you
making
were following
choices,
your intuition, right? Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Making very conscious choices, no matter how they
Mhm.
looked like on the surface.
If
Because I was
this is the
receiving
path.
the heart's instruction, which
Okay.
was saying, you need space, you need breathing
Mm,
space, so you can be present to what's extremely important in your life right now.
okay.
Right. So that was the process back
Mm,
then. Now it's a little different. Now, when I'm an empty nester, I have way more time with my heart now, where I would say 60 to 70% of my time is residing in the heart. So I can even create from the heart. And now the mind is behind the heart. The heart is leading and the mind is serving it. So it's very beautiful to watch that shift happen, but it's been a very long journey to form that relationship between the two.
mm,
So they have a
mm.
respectful relationship towards each other, the mind and the heart. Neither one of making the other one's bad. or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, just like in a healthy relationship where two people are respectful of each other and appreciate each other's unique qualities, it's the same thing within us. We have to form this relationship between the mind and the heart.
Mm.
If we don't do that, it'll become very, very difficult to stay in the heart because the mind is required to live in this world.
Mm.
Right? In the New Age spiritual, a lot of groups, the mind is really looked down upon. It gets a bad rep. Mind is an extremely essential aspect of our existence. But what's missing is the relationship between the mind and the heart.
Mm.
And when that forms, the heart naturally stays open. So when
Mm.
I heard you say earlier, like we have to do work to keep the heart open, it's quite the opposite. The more you
Yes.
try to keep the heart open, the more it'll stay shut
Close.
because it does not respond to the same motivations as your mind does. You can use your willpower for your mind, right, to motivate your mind. You cannot use your willpower to open your heart. It's the opposite. Heart responds to softness, subtleness,
Authenticity, the
authenticity.
present. So that's the stillness. In stillness, and how you built that stillness, how I long for and build it into my life. It is from that, the silence. It's just it's just tantalizing. Like, there's so much in stillness and silence. And if there's it's so hard to put this in words, but if there is a step, it is the breath. It is silence, stillness, where the heart speaks. I can hear the water in the back. We can listen to our breath. And it's just right there.
It's always there.
It's just there. If you're just beginning and you sit down and you think, oh, I can't shut my mind up. Oh, what are they talking about? What is your connection to nature? A child playing? What inspires you? My mom says, says, it inspires me. It came out of her mouth, and she says it repeatedly when she's in her joy and her innocence. It inspires me to see the people walking, to see the children playing. What inspires you? And just like you asked me, what inspires you, Nadia? Where is this innocent Nadia? That has been my journey for a few months. I guess it always was the awakening. And in more moments of being awake a while, there was a returning home to the heart. And the extreme opposite end is when I find myself in the seeking of approval. That is when the ego is just closing. I mean, I know you said the heart doesn't always close, that it's right there, but that is what is directing the energy. That is when it's all survival mode, lower triangle, right?
Yes, like I said,
Yeah.
it closes
Mm.
to inauthenticity. And,
Right.
when we are not even real with our own self,
Mm.
I mean, the heart says, I don't know what to say to that. Like, there's nothing I can do or say about that. So I'm just going to hang back and let you do
Mhm.
your thing. Right. So
And how
it
often? I mean,
seems like
years
it's
and
about, yeah.
years and years doing that, and I'm in it right now a little bit or halfway or,
Yeah. But
you
it's also
know,
very important to mention here that you have to remember that the heart will also close when it doesn't find safety in our environment
mm,
or even within ourselves.
mm.
So, how
Thank
many of
you.
us are experiencing the
Thank
lack
you.
of safety? Not just physical safety, even the safety of expressing ourselves authentically. How many of us have the luxury to be received in our expression?
Within
How
ourselves.
within and out as well as outside. Like, where's
It
that safety for most of
mhm.
us? Most human
That
beings,
is the
we're not
home.
experiencing that safety, and the heart will close to that because the heart is the most vulnerable aspect of you. In the lack of safety, it's almost like we have this automatic shut off valve inside of
Mm,
us. It'll just shut, close when it doesn't experience safety of expression, of being ourselves, when we feel we're not allowed to take up any space in this
mhm,
environment. We don't belong.
mhm.
So that's a lot of these things is what gives birth to the feelings for constant validation.
Right. Thank you for saying all of that.
Mhm. So the lack of
It's the
safety is
yeah.
what we need to look at. Like, why
Mm.
do I not feel safe? Why am do I not give myself permission to take up space in this world?
I discovered all of those patterns, those beliefs, writing the memoir, and that's why I really encourage, listeners, and I'm going to say particularly those in unhealthy relationships, however we want to define that, um, because when we write, we're using the mind in a good way, in a focused way to get us into the experience that we've shut ourselves off from that we may not even understand today. And I know in writing the memoir and then in reading it in the audiobook, so much came up and with a few women that I work with, it's like this whole just like waterfall of emotions that were never we never allowed ourselves to come out that we couldn't, um and writing helps. So first of all, writing helps. Honor that process. um Give yourself kudos for doing that in your own space and begin there. That's how I began, with building a safe place within myself, and how other women are learning to do that. It's so important. And your little one will speak, and she may
Yes.
be angry. Let that come out.
Mhm.
It- let it come out. Why did you shut me out? Just let it all come out. And
Mhm.
I have barely allowed myself to do that in safe spaces. The only one being barely in trauma therapy. I don't even think in my yoga family, barely. And I've been with those people for how long? For years.
Mhm.
And so just tapping into that even within ourselves. I'm barely there. And this journey has been long. So I want to, I mean, thank you, Priya, for saying that. Because it is through our own writing, through our own reading other people's stories. And that's the power of the rooms in fellowships, that we tap into those, building that safe space within ourselves. And that is the home within. And the heart is always there to hear it. Always. Was that your journey also?
A little bit different. It
Okay.
didn't go through the writing process, and for each of us, it has to be different.
Mm.
It was like once you start your journey of inner awareness, for me at least, it was just so many inner conversations,
Mm.
so many inner questionings, just a gentle curiosity of like, why do I do that? Or why do I not do that? And when did somebody tell me you can do that? And, nobody sometimes the permissions that
Mhm.
we think we don't have, if you look at it, nobody ever told us you can't.
Uh-huh.
But it's really, we don't know
So fascinating.
subconsciously where those blocks built up. And so self awareness and self realization is like, but yeah, why? The curiosity of why.
Mhm.
And do I need to change that now? And is there someone around me who's going to give me that permission, or do I need to give myself that permission? So if you are an adult, male or female, this doesn't just belong to the females. A lot of
Oh,
men go through that too.
yes, yes.
So it doesn't matter what the gender is. As long as you're a human being, you're going to have this play of consciousness. And the journey is all about getting lost and then getting found. So if you are an adult human being, you know that there is no one outside of you that will ever give you permission to
Mm.
change or give you the right to claim what is yours. Those are permissions that you have to give yourself. And that comes with that awareness sparks with some kind of practice. So like, for me, it
Mhm.
was yoga, especially Kundalini yoga, doing the Kriya itself, which quietened the noise of my body to such a degree that I could become available to all those inner spaces that needed seeing, that needed to be
Mhm.
held, that needed to be evolved and refined. So, one thing at a time, one space at a time, I look forward to encountering those. But
Mhm.
the consistent part for me throughout has been the Kundalini yoga, because I know with that quietening the noise of my body and my mind and my anxieties, I can
Mhm.
access those places that are waiting to grow and evolve and refine.
Mhm.
So to me, that's why I practice it beyond
Mhm.
anything else. I love
Mhm.
that space of stillness that it brings me. And that space of stillness opens this authentic conversation within me. And the heart opens in that authenticity. And now we have the whole team on board. We got the mind, we got the heart, we got authenticity, we got a clear communication. Now we can do something with our life that is real.
Yes, and from the heart.
And from the heart, it'll happen naturally.
And your soul, our soul, the soul approves. That's the only there's no need for approval, right? We
When you
we
have,
we are
Mhm.
blessed infinitely.
We are, but it's a deep, authentic relationship with that space
Mm.
is what makes it real beyond words. And so I find the more I got in touch with that space, I didn't even need to express that as much. Now
Mm.
the actions and the words and your presence becomes authentic after a while,
It's your
right?
beloved.
So then wherever you go, you don't even know you are opening hearts because your presence becomes authentic.
Mm.
So it's an
I love
easy
you.
process to do. It just requires a very gentle conversation with yourself, checking in every day, checking in every day. What's real for me today? And be radically honest about that. And if there are any choices that need to be made around that, make them courageously.
Mhm.
Make room for yourself.
Be gentle.
And be gentle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can be the most kindest, gentlest person to yourself because no one understands you the way you do. And no one is supposed to understand you the way you do. And that is key that I cannot emphasize enough because we all keep thinking, I wish I would find a human being that understands me. No one
Mm-mm.
is meant to
Mm-mm.
understand you except you. If you understand yourself, that's enough.
Mm. Oh, I'm so grateful for this very moment. Yeah. Mm. I feel so much love and life, and I'm just very, very grateful for today, for you, for everything. And I honor you. I love you. And sadam. Okay.
Sato.
Okay. You are not alone. If you are dealing with shame and trauma, please reach out to me through my website, nadia-davis.com. You can get a free band shame tip sheet and find out about upcoming events. I'd love it if you picked up my book, Home is Within You, wherever books are sold. If you like this podcast, please tell a friend, leave a review, and make sure to follow me on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Sending warm hugs.